All right, thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Gnostic Studies, and we're going to do something on a different day today, since it's normally we're on Thursday evenings. This is a Wednesday evening for us, and we'd like to continue with the last class of Tarot and Kabbalah in the Gnostic tradition. We want to wrap it up so that we can finish it up this year and then have enough time to do some of the Hermetic Masonry classes before we start the Gnostic Astrology class, which will be the one after that, in right around the time of the spring equinox, so that we can be synced up with the beginning of the astrological year. So that's why we decided to do this today. We've got a meditation on Friday. We invite you to join us for that. Today is, let me give you the link to the class. Well, I guess we're going to do a review of the previous class, so you probably want that one first. We'll just drop that into the comments area. So that's the link if you want to follow along. We're going to be looking at the handout. Which we have for you there at the screen. If you wanted to download the handout, it's at the bottom of that page we just linked in the comments area. So we talked about the four-letter name of God, Yod He Vav He. These are Hebrew letters. These are the modern Hebrew letters, the ways of writing them or drawing them. We said that the second letter is repeated in the fourth, and that these letters have different correspondences. So the first correspondence of the Yod, Hebrew is written from right to left, is that it corresponds to the phallus, the father, the male master or husband. We could say the father, power, and man, and to the suits of the clubs. We're going to go into this more today. And the He, the second letter, corresponds to the sitis, pedestal or receptacle upon which the phallus rested, which basically means vagina or female creative organ. So we got the male creative organ is the Yod, female creative organ is the He. It says delights of the mother, female master, mother, happiness, woman. It corresponds to the suit of cups. The Vav is the conjunction of both. The union of the two. The Maithuna, right? How we use that connection between man and woman. It's called the battle of love. And the synthesis is love. It corresponds to swords, because it's that battle, right? That fight against the animal nature, to dominate the animal nature, to overcome the beast. And then the final He is the image of the world. Fecundity, which means to fructify or to fertilize. It means a child or a slave, depending on what type of creation. It's either the result of this wonderful union, or it's something like that we become a slave of. The works that we've done. And it corresponds to the pentacles, which are also called coins, or sometimes even gold. We'll look at that more today, because we're going to go into the 4 suits of the Minor Arcana a little bit today. and we'll see more about that. But Eliphas Levi says that the practice of Shema, and the Shema means name, the name is love. The practice of Yod He Vav He, the practice of the four-letter name of God, is love. We talked again about this last time, so we want to refer you for more details to that class. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments area for us, and we'll do our best to reply to them. Gurdjieff talked about the four aspects of matter, or states of substance. Three of them correspond to the three primary forces. C-O-N, the first primary force, second primary force, third primary force. One is active, next one is passive, and the third is neutralizing or reconciling. And then the fourth, that is what is produced when we combine these three together, is a substance that is taken without relation to the force manifesting itself through it. So we consider it as a substance without one of these three forces, whichever one is acting through it. That is, it's a substance that is free until we apply one of the forces on it, which then changes it into one of these substances, the first, second, or third. So then, in order to understand that, we can study Gnostic chemistry and cosmology in more detail, because I'm sure that if you're not familiar with it, that this seems a bit vague. But we'll save that for another time. The third author that we're going to look at in relation to this Yod He Vav He, the secret name of God, or holy and mysterious name of God, is Samael and Weor. The masculine and feminine forces are the Yod and the He, the eternal masculine principle, eternal feminine principle. He says that the Vav is fire, as well as the phallus or lingam, and that the final He is water, the uterus or the yoni. And then the sacred name of the eternal has four letters, Yod He Vav He, and it's spelled differently in different transliterations. And these four letters is the principle of the eternal. They have within them immense priestly power. Within these four letters are there represented two principles, the masculine and feminine of the macrocosmos and the microcosmos. The staff, the masculine principle, and the cup, the feminine principle. What's another name for a staff? Could be a club, right? Could be a wand. It's all kind of the same thing, a stick. So when talking about what these are in relation to the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, he says that the Father, Keter, is the Ancient of Days. The Son, the Cosmic Christ, is Chokmah. The Divine Mother is within the Holy Spirit, Binah, third Sephiroth. And then the mother carries a lantern in her hand, and that lantern is the innermost or inner being, which burns in our heart, which is chesed or chesed. And so that gives us the four in another way. Because then this is the lantern which burns in our heart, the inner being or intimus, or innermost is our individual, we could say guardian angel or inner divinity that allows us to connect with God, which is created through these three primary forces. So he also talks about these three primary forces, same way Gurdjieff did, but giving us more detail. he says the three primary forces manifest themselves through the CONH, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, which are atoms of occult chemistry. Right? That's why we referenced Gnostic chemistry and cosmology to help understand this subject specifically. The H, the hydrogen, is a force free from the others. So it's got the same idea here that we talked about in the Gurdjieff section, but giving a little more correspondences. Then we talked about Eliphas Levi. He said another way to look at Yod He Vav He is that the Yod He Vav correspond to each of the triangles, and then the final He corresponds to Malkut, creation. He gave more information. If we synthesize this information, this is taken from a book called I think it's called the Kabbalistic and Occult Tarot of Eliphas Levi. And so synthesizing all of that, where the book cites where it comes from, we can see Yod is a club, staff, or wand, or a scepter, a phallus, man, the father, and the world of Atziluth. The cup is the He, the sitis, right? The feminine sexual organ. Woman, mother. Also the Son in the sense of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Bria. The vow is the sword, the conjunction of both. The battle, love, the Holy Spirit, right? In the same way that it's the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And Yetzirah. The He, final He, is a circle or a coin that is the pentacle, the world, fertility or fecundity, creation, Asiya. So he gives all these correspondences. So we'll see why this is important for his explanation of the Minor Arcana, because we'll go into the details of this in just a little bit when we study today's material. The last thing that we talked about was the relationship of this four-letter name with the philosophical cross of the Masons. He gave a little poem, which we have here, if you want to download the material so that you can have that poem, about what is creation, the house of the creative verb. And this philosophical cross, we talked about at the end of the class with, it's sort of a synthesis of everything, because it talks about the seasons of the year, the time of the day, the life of the human being, and the different elements, the four elements: fire, air, earth, water, the cycle of the moon, all of it synthesized in there. So that's it. We're going to jump into today's class now, unless you have any questions. All right, so today's class, the Minor Arcana, according to Eliphas Levi, Arnaldo Krumheller, and Samael and Weor. First section, the verbs, the motto, and the conditions of the magician. When we study this material, what we realize is that there is some overlap, or, if you do like those circle diagrams, I think they're called Venn diagrams, and you say, oh, there's this similarity between the authors. There's differences and there's similarities. Right? So we're going to look at 1854, 1936, 1954. What do these authors have to say? The original French: to know, to dare, to will, to keep quiet. Here are the 4 verbs of the Magus, inscribed upon the 4 symbolic forms of the Sphinx. These 4 verbs can be combined together in 4 ways and explain each other 4 times. See the tarot. We're going to talk about that today. So he says these are the verbs of the Magus or the magician. To know, to dare, to will, and to keep quiet. Sometimes it's translated as to keep silent, but that's not what that term means. It could be silent, but more specifically it's to be quiet. To quiet ourselves. A little bit later, Huiracocha, Arnaldo Krumheller, he says, to want or will, right, similar. To be able or capable, to dare, and to keep quiet is the motto of the magician. And finally, the 4 conditions needed in order to be a magician are the following: to know how to suffer, to know how to be quiet, to know how to abstain, and to know how to die. We read this when we studied the first arcanum in chapter 1 of Manual Practical Magic. So let's look at what Eliphas Levi says now. Unless you guys have any comments or questions about those quotes. I thought they were very useful, and again, they're in the handout. The symbolic forms and the minor arcana according to Eliphas Levi. From the Kabbalistic point of view, the tarot is a hieroglyphic book composed of a Kabbalistic alphabet. And a wheel, or circle, of 4 decads. Decad means 10, so he's saying 22, and 4 times 10. Specified by 4 symbolic and typical figures, each having for its ray a ladder of 4 progressive figures, which refers to the court cards, representing humanity. So these last 4, he says, are either man, woman, youth, and child, or master, mistress, soldier, and then page or valet. The figures of the 4 suits of the clubs, cups, swords, and pentacles are the hieroglyphs of the Tetragram, Yod He Vav He. We already know this, right? The club is the Egyptian phallus or Hebrew Yod. The cup is the Sittis or primitive He. The sword is the conjunction of both, or the lingam, represented in the Hebrew before captivity by Vav. And the pentacle, image of the world, is the final He. So Vav, right, is the 6th letter. We studied this, and we said that this arcanum is related to the human being between vice and virtue, the human being having to choose, which is also represented in the 6-pointed star. But it's interesting to see here, it's called sometimes indecision, because the initiate has to choose between their right or their left. They have to decide the right-hand path or the left-hand path. Number 6, how do we use love? How do we use that union, the conjunction of the Yod and the He? The letters, the 22 letters and the 10 numbers give us 32 paths, the 32 paths of the Sefer Yetzirah. 4 gives the Merkabah, or chariot of Ezekiel. The elementary and astronomical signs are the 4 forms of the Sphinx and the 4 animals of Ezekiel and of St. John. There was a question last week about this. Do the 4 elements correspond, or the 4 astrological signs? I think it was Aries, Cancer, Leo. I forget the last one was. But corresponding to the 4, maybe it was Gemini, 4 astrological signs, or maybe it was Taurus. So he talks about it here. The 4 forms of the Sphinx and the 4 elements. The 4 elementary and astronomical signs. As for the numbers 1 through 10, you will find their explanation repeated 4 times with the symbol of the club or scepter of the father, the cup or delights of the mother, the sword or battle of love, and the pentacles or fecundity. So again, another table so that we can see the correspondences. Clubs correspond to earth, which is a bull. Cups to water, symbolized by the man. Swords to fire, symbolized by lion. Pentacles to air, symbolized by the eagle. And then these are the same things that we've already looked at. Let's look at Arcanum 22 really quick, because we studied that at the end, and there is a graphic in there. The return, sometimes called return, that has those 4 elements. The lion, the eagle, the bull, and the human being, or sometimes it's an angel around the crown. So those are the 4 elements, symbol of the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. So continuing to quote here from Eliphas Levi, he says, each number multiplied by a key gives another number, which, explained in turn by the keys, completes the philosophical and religious revelation contained in each sign. Thus, Arcanum 1, the key of unities, explains the 4 aces with their quadruple progressive signification in the 3 worlds and in the first principle. Therefore, the ace of clubs is creative intelligence. The ace of cups is magnetizing intelligence. The ace of swords is militant intelligence, right? So remember, we talked about how swords related with a vow, the battle of love, militant. And the ace of pentacles is the soul of the world. They are further the principles of movement, progress, fecundity, and power. All right, now we're gonna, so each of the authors that we looked at the beginning, Eliphas Levi, Huiracocha, Samael, and Weor, we're going to look at what they said. So first we read in more detail about it from Eliphas Levi. Now we're looking at what Huiracocha says. Let's remember what he said here. To want or will, to be capable or able, to dare and to keep quiet is the motto of the magician. So there's a relationship between the motto and the 4 elements and the 4 suits. Let's look at what he says here. The motto in the Minor Arcana, according to Huiracocha. The clubs, green sticks, or spears or lances, represent the vegetative life, or the first years of life wherein reside the volitional agent. Volitional refers to willpower. In the cup resides the power or capacity or ability to do. And with it we receive the soul through spiritual nourishment, This is the second time that we educate ourselves. Our body is a cup or grail that must always be ready and open to receive what the higher worlds want to put in it. Therefore, we need to take care of our body in order to be clean and pure, and in order to receive superior influences, streams, or teachings. In this way, we are able to continue on with the daring of the sword. The disciple of magic must first have daring, but not be reckless, always facing the danger, but not going into battle unarmed. The sword is for defense. We should never be alone in the fight, but rather always evoking the help of the superior planes. Now that we are secure in life and armed with instruction, we can conquer with the sword in hand, in order to finally attain victory, acquiring the prize, the spiritual gold represented by the pentacles. These golden pentacles are related with the sun, right? Because gold is the metal of the sun, and with the Eucharistic host. Sometimes you receive that circular shaped bread when people do the Eucharist, which means to take the bread and the wine, which is not non-alcoholic wine in Gnosis, grape juice. So he says these golden pentacles are related with the sun and with the Eucharistic host, which demands respect, silence, keeping quiet. The pentacles teach us that the intellect must convert itself into wisdom. So here's the summary of what he's saying. The clubs are volition, the initiative or beginning of life, willpower. The cups are the power or capacity, reception from the higher worlds. The swords are daring to fight by evoking the help of the superior planes. And the pentacles are keeping quiet, respect, spiritual gold, converting the intellect into wisdom. We got a comment, says they like the information. Yep, glad you like it. We got more for you. Hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll keep continuing here. The 4 elements and the minor arcana according to Samael and Weor. Remember what he said, that we need to know how to suffer. Where is it? To know how to suffer, to know how to be quiet, to know how to abstain, and to know how to die. Right? What's he talking about? Psychological death, mystical death, initiatic death. So let's see what he has to say about the 4 elements in the minor arcana. We've arrived at the conclusion that all Kabbalah is reduced to the 22 major arcana of the tarot and the 4 aces, which represent the 4 elements of nature. The tarot is a book as ancient as the ages and is intimately related with the wisdom of the planetary gods. The 4 aces signify the elements of nature. The ace of clubs symbolizes earth. The ace of cups symbolizes water. The ace of swords symbolizes fire. The ace of pentacles symbolizes air. The cards of the tarot are the language of the superior worlds of light. The cards of the tarot are the occult wisdom of the sidereal gods. Many times the sidereal gods answer us by showing us a tarot card. Then we should intuitively comprehend the answer we have been given. There are 2 kinds of Kabbalists, intellectual and intuitive. The intellectual Kabbalists are black magicians. The intuitive Kabbalists are white magicians. The intuitive Kabbalist understands everything with the heart. The intellectual Kabbalists want to resolve everything with the animal mind. The intuitive Kabbalists are only guided by the voice of silence, the intimus, the inner being, innermost. By merely looking at a card of the tarot, the intuitive Kabbalists comprehend what destiny reserves for them. The white magician prays to the gods, throws their cards on the table with eyes closed, and, beseeching their god, which is the inner being, the intimus, innermost, picks up a card, observes it, and makes the forecast with their intuition. The 78 plates of the tarot are like 78 ineffable hieroglyphs shining in this pyramid of 5 angles called man. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. The entire progression of the student is based on these numbers. The book of the tarot is divided into 22 major arcana and 56 minor arcana. All the 56 plates of the minor arcana are based on the 4 aces and on the 10 numbers of our decimal system. In the 22 major arcana, for example, a 4 of clubs is none other than the arcanum 4, the emperor, and the symbol of the ace of clubs repeated 4 times. Right, so he gave us the symbol here. The 4 of water, or the emperor of water. The same thing happens with the rest of the 56 plates of the minor arcana. Intuitively interpret these cards, combining the natural element with the major arcana, and the problem is resolved. For example, a 6 of pentacles would be interpreted by combining arcanum 6, indecision or the lovers, with the element air, or soul, which is what is symbolized by the pentacles. Right? This would say a love affair, and so on successively. That's from Sagittarius in Zodiacal Course. We'll hopefully be reading that together soon in another the Gnostic astrology class, which we'll be doing coming up. At least that's the plan now. Okay, so we went through the 3 authors. Now we're going to jump into part 2, but just to again repeat, there's 3 verbs, or 4 verbs, the motto, and the conditions for the magician. If we look here, we see that they all seem to have some overlap between these 2, right? To will, to dare, to keep quiet here. We can say that all 4 or all 3 of them have to keep quiet. So jumping into, oh wait, let's see if we got a question. Somebody says those elements, symbols for the aces don't seem right, except for cups for water. Otherwise, they're different. Well, I mean, we refer you to the authors, right? We're talking about Eliphas Levi here, the gentleman who basically started the New Age movement and is the one who inspired just about every occultist in the 20th century, in the 1900s. If you disagree with him, then that's up to you. That's your decision, right? But it's there. That's what he says, and our authors agree with each other. That's why we present them. People can have other opinions, and we have to decide for ourselves in the end, right? But we need to see who it's coming from and what the motivation is. If there is anything other than to share gnosis, knowledge. I got a question here. Do we still keep going through a series of Dark Night of Soul through a lifetime? So that's, let's say, somewhat unrelated to the material we're covering right now, but to address that, it depends on how we handle things. Because generally the dark night is an ordeal that we have to pass to see how we do when we're not in contact with the intimus or the inner being, when the contact is cut off from our guide. How do we manage things by ourselves? Do we give up? Do we throw in the towel? Do we fade? Or do we stick with it? Do we persist in order to keep going, in order to get that spiritual gold? So it depends on how we handle that. The dark night of the soul is an ordeal. It's a test that we undergo to see where we are in ourselves. It's like if you're studying medicine or culinary, how to cook or something. It's easy when somebody's giving you the recipe and telling you what to do, right? You just follow the directions. But then when you're on your own, you got your own restaurant, or you're cooking for somebody else, you got to start putting the pieces together. You got to use the knowledge that you acquired and become practical with it. So that's what it's time for when we're going through those things, to persist, to do what we need to do, to decide what we want from our life. All right, let's jump into this because this is a little bit complex. We do have handouts downloadable that will help. Once I looked at the tables, this helped me to understand it a lot. But Eliphas Levi, when he talks about these tarot cards, he explains the correspondences. So we'll look at them here. The Minor Arcana. Let's take a look at the tarot and reunite all its pages, right? Because he said it's a book, in order to form William Postel's wheel, or rota, right, which is an anagram for tarot. Let us group, or Torah, let us group the 4 aces, the 4 twos, the 4 threes, etc., and we will then have 10 packs of cards giving the hieroglyphic explanation of the triangle of divine names on a scale of 10. So basically there's 40 cards that are numbered, right? The Minor Arcana is 4 suits, and each suit has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then they have 4 court cards, which are like Jack, King, Queen, but they are King, Queen, and then sometimes it's a Jack or a page or a soldier, but there's basically 4 instead of 3. We'll look at it here. But so first he says that these cards, the aces, the ones, correspond to Keter. The crown, the 4 aces correspond to Keter, the crown of God carrying 4 florets. The 4 twos, Chokmah, his wisdom pours out and forms 4 rivers. The 4 threes, Binah, from his intelligence or intelligent understanding, he gives 4 proofs. The 4 fours, Chesed, from mercy he is 4 benefactions. The 4 fives, Geburah, his rigor punishes 4 crimes 4 times. The 4 sixes, Tiferet, through 4 pure rays his beauty is revealed. The 4 sevens, Netzach, let's celebrate 4 times his eternal victory. The 4 eights, Hod, he triumphs 4 times in his eternity. The 4 nines, Jesod, his throne is supported upon 4 foundations. This means foundation, Jesod. The 4 tens, Malkut, his unique kingdom is 4 times the same, because Malkut means kingdom, and conforms to the florets of the divine crown. He says elsewhere that there's no kingdom without a crown. And if we Kabbalistically reduce 10, 1 plus 0, we get 1. So he's going to say that 1 and 10 should be the same. We'll see. the letters of the Tetragrammaton, and the 4 suits of the Minor Arcana. As was mentioned in a previous class, Levi tells us the hieroglyphic figure of the divine tetragram, or the Shema, is the cross, and its 4 letters are represented by the 4 suits of the Minor Arcana. Another table, same as the one up above. Just want to remind you about it, just looking at it from a different angle. One can see through this simple arrangement the Kabbalistic sense of each plate. Thus, for example, the 5 of clubs rigorously signifies the Geburah, because it's the 5, it's the 5th Sephiroth, Geburah, of Yod, because Yod is the suit. So the 5 of clubs means the Geburah of Yod. That is to say, the justice, which is Geburah, of the Creator, or the wrath, which is also Geburah, of man. The 7 of cups signifies the victory of mercy, or the triumph of woman. Victory is the name of Netzach, right? And if we look at Arcanum 7, it's the chariot of war, and its meaning is triumph. It means, like, with hard work we will win the battle. The 8 of swords signifies eternal conflict, right? Because it's a battle. Eternal, because 8, Hod, is eternity. Eternal conflict or eternal equilibrium, because 8 is, if we look at Arcanum 8 of the tarot, it's a woman with scales. Justice. Right? She's got a sword and scales. We need to be balanced. And so that's how he says to combine them. So I know it's a little bit confusing if you're not familiar with the associations, but that's what these tables are for. That's what the handouts are for, so that we can become more familiar with them. Then he goes even further, and this is in some letters to his student, one of his students, and he gives the explanation of the cards, of the court cards. So he says, the king, the first card is a Yod, the queen, the second one is a He, the knight is a Vow, and the page or slave is a final He. So we just looked at how each of the 1 through 10 corresponds to the 10 Sephiroth, and then of the court cards, they correspond to each of the letters of the Tetragrammaton. So when you combine these together, the king of clubs, what you get is the Yod of Yod. Which is what he says is the father. Let's see if we got that a little lower. Yeah, the Yod of Yod. The queen is the Yod of He. The queen of clubs, I should specify. The knight of clubs is the Yod of Vow, and the page of clubs is the Yod of He. So he's combining, because each suit, clubs all correspond to Yod, and then the court cards correspond to Yod He Vow He. So we got all here are the explanations that he gives. The wife of the, so for the clubs, the king, if you pull the king of clubs, it means the father. That's what it corresponds to. If you pull the Queen of clubs, it means the wife of the father. If you pull the Knight of clubs, the conqueror of power. And if you pull the page or the slave of clubs, it means slave of man. Because man is this card, is this suit, I should say. It's always about the male if it's the yod. This one is going to be about the hay, because it corresponds to the feminine, the cups. It's the husband of the mother, right? The mother is primary in this case. The queen is the master or mistress of herself. It's actually the female master. Mistress in French, which is what Eliphas Levi was writing in, means female master. We think of it in English because of, the translation, or how it became what it is as a woman that a man has an affair with if he's married or in a relationship. But it means female master. The Knight of hay is the conqueror of happiness. And the page of hay is the slave of woman. This one was slave of man. This one is slave of woman. This one is slave of love, because vow is about love. Prince of love, princess of love, the conqueror of love, the slave of love. Right? So you see how he's putting it all together. The same thing here with the numbered court cards, or the numbered cards. The tens, right? 10 is the earth, Malkut, we should say, the kingdom specifically. And so it corresponds to the 4 elements, which are the reduction of Yod He Vav He. If it has a bracket, then we're gonna, that's our own dorking out there, because Eliphas Levi didn't give it, or could be maybe from a book, actually. But in any case, it means it's not the author. It's not Eliphas Levi, because his information wasn't available. He didn't give that. So this is from his writings, all this information. We put it all together. Let's see what he says here. Because what he does is, he talks about the Shem HaMforash, which is probably a mispronunciation of the Hebrew, which means the 72 names of God. Eliphas Levi explained to his student, the Baron Spedalieri, that the numbered cards of the Minor Arcana corresponded to the 72 names of God. The name Jehovah, Yod He Vav He, resolves into 72 explanatory names, or explicatory names, called Shem HaMforash. The art of employing these 72 names and of finding in them the keys of the universal science is what the Kabbalists have called the clavicles, or little keys of Solomon. In fact, at the end of the collections of evocations and prayers that carry this title, Clavicles of Solomon, one may find 72 magical circles or engravings analogous to the hieroglyphic figures of the tarot, each carrying 2 of the 72 names along with the emblematic sign of their number, making 36 talismans. 32 reduced in half. 72 reduced in half is 36, because he says that these names can be used to make talismans, and they're double-sided, like a medallion. This is 4 times 9. 36 is 4 times 9. That is to say, the absolute number, 9, multiplied by the quaternary, 4. Note that the tens, which are found in the tarot, are not featured in on the talismans, because the 10 are the synthesis of the unity and is virtually contained within the unity of each number. Because the kingdom, Malkut, 10, doesn't exist without the crown, which is Keter. With the aid of these signs and through their infinite combinations, like those of the numbers and the letters, one can arrive at the natural and mathematical revelation of all the secrets of nature. So except for the tens, which he says repeats the ones, the numbered cards, 1 through 9, each have an associated talisman and divine name. Below we have the names, both in their three-lettered Hebrew form as well as a transliteration from the traditional endings, because at the end of each of these three-lettered names of God, they add El and then Jah or Yah. In some cases, Eliphas Levi spells them differently than other authors, or he may have even spelled them incorrectly. So now we're putting all the pieces together so that we can see everything that he's saying. So the synthesis of this is that everything is reduced to 22 letters and basically the 22 letters, right? Because with the 22 letters, you can make the 10 Sephiroth, because the first 10 letters are the 10 Sephiroth, 1 through 10. And then you can also make Yod He Vav He, the 4-letter name of God. So everything, absolutely everything, is reduced to the 22 letters of the tarot, which is the 22 Hebrew letters, which are we could say, don't even belong to the Hebrews, but are a universal system, that they were the carriers of that system for a time and still have some of that. But of course, Eliphas Levi told us in the very first class, the introductory class, that these symbols are carved on the walls in Egypt, in the temples there. That the hieroglyphs, which are the tarot cards, are sort of a visual mnemonic for remembering the symbolism, which is contained in that letter, and a letter is reduced to a number. So the clubs, we got all the explanation here. And then he says that these are the divine names that go with them of the 72 letters. So the 9 of clubs is the Yod of Yesod. Right? For cups, same thing. And all these divine names. Same thing with the swords. I'm not going to read them to you, right? But if you understand the concept, then it's there, and that's why the handouts are there, so that you can reference it in order to understand it more. So here's the handouts. We have some handouts now as well, and we're going to look at them together because we want to make sure that that information is accessible and makes sense to everyone. So we talked about this, the verbs, the motto, and the conditions today. We went through the correspondences of the elements with the suits so that we could understand that. And then the meaning of the motto, according to Huiracocha, with the suits. Samael and Weor also mentions the correspondences of the elements to the suits of the Minor Arcana. Here we summarized what he says about the four numbered cards, because there's 4 for each suit. But basically he's just giving us the correspondence to the 10 Sephiroth. That's the quote that we just read about the clavicles of Solomon. Same handout here as the table that you just saw. And some of the information, if it wasn't given by Eliphas Levi, or we have some other information, we give it from Samael and Weor. And then here are some of the talismans that he's got. This is the Ace of Clubs, which is the 1 of Yod. Where is it here? ace, the 1 of Yod, because Yod is the club. The suit of the clubs. And we got a document from our friends over at Doth Gnosis Publishing. They publish a lot of the books that we like to work with. This also has associated psalms and esoteric attributes with the divine names. And let's see. Here we go. This is the book. Somebody got the letters, and this is from 1896. Study with care the hieroglyphs and the letters, sacred letters of the 36 talismans, and write them around each one of a verse of the writing of your choice, of the scripture of your choice. Whichever one expresses the best for you, the virtue of the letters and the numbers. These talismans fix the spirit, make the thinking stronger, and serve as sacraments of willpower. It could be like sacraments of willpower. The spirits of all the hierarchies are in communion with whosoever carries, not sure what that one means, and who understands well these signs. Okay, here we go. Clubs. Ace of clubs. That's what he has. This is the 2 of clubs. You can see somebody wrote even in this book. He gives the divine name, and this is the symbol that he has, right? 2 things crossing each other. Here is the 3 of clubs. Oh, he's got a triangle, right? 1, 2, 3 clubs. And then he's got Hebrew names in there. This is actually 3. This is see how it looks like 2 T's stuck together? This should be another T here. It's a Masonic symbol, or a symbol they also use in Masonry. It's like a triple T. Here, 4s, 4 of clubs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 yods there. Here's a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clubs. Got a pentagram and a pentagon, 5-sided figure. 6, 6-pointed star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clubs. You see what he's doing? Triangle and a square, 3-sided object, 4-sided object. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clubs. 2 squares, 8-sided star, 8-pointed star, we could say. Same thing, 8 clubs. 9. Here we are with cups. Hay. It's the hay. Because the cups correspond to hay. Yod is the first suit. Second suit is hay. Third suit is vow. Fourth suit is hay. So you're going to see hay on here. 3. 3 cups. 4 cups. Right? He also uses moons. 6 cups. 7. 8 cups. He just wrote it like that. This is the swords. Two swords. There's that T, triple T shape for a 3 symbol. 1, 2, 3 swords. That's his symbol there. 4 T's. Dalet, which means 4. It's the 4th Hebrew letter. 5 swords. Vau is the 6th letter, so it means 6. Vau is also this suit, 6-6. Here it starts to get a little different because he starts doing the pentacles and he kind of says you have to make up your own pentacles. But see, he's got 2 here. He's got the Trinity there. This one he says 4 circles, 4 concentric circles are implicated in one, and the other with a cross in the center at the will of the operator. The name of Jabamia expresses the realization, the absolute realization. This is why he operates all miracles. This is why it is said that he operates all miracles. 5 circles around a pentagram, red pentagram. This name should be written alone in the center of a talisman of gold, pure gold, with signs particular to the willpower of the operator. 6 circles forming a flower. Right, because it's circles. This is a very occult talisman, is proper to give the force against terrors of death. 7 circles, and in the center, 1 in the center and 6 around, forming the rose, mystical rose of the rose cross. Upon this talisman engrave the signs, occult signs of masonry, of Masonic rose cross, or the rose cross of the Masons. 8 circles, 8 balanced circles or equilibrated circles. Whoever does this talisman will comprehend the enigma of the Sphinx and will know the secret of Oedipus. 9 concentric circles, or a Sephirothic tree. Whoever possesses this talisman should hide it with care and never reveal it to the profane. So that's it. You've seen what he does in his system. He explained it. This book, as I said, I think was 1896 it was published in. I got it off of through Google Books. It's on there. Actually, you can still get it, but it's in French. So, but anyway, thanks to the people over at Gnostic Publishing, they helped to point a lot of these things out and give us access to some other materials and the tarot cards. So we shared that with you guys as well. If you're interested in getting tarot cards, let us know. Send us an email at gnosticstudies@gmail.com, and we'll let you know what we have. But that's what we got for the Tarot and Kabbalah class. Yep. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed the class. Glad you enjoyed it. We have a person saying thanks. Yep. We have benefited from it, and it just helps to give a deeper insight into the meaning of it, the reduction of everything Kabbalistically. So glad you enjoyed it. We want to also invite you guys to meditation. We're going to be vocalizing a single letter on Friday, so that we can activate the corresponding occult faculties in ourselves with that letter. We'll use probably one of the 5 vowels. Oh, we got somebody says, can you share a link for this book? Yep. Probably I can put that in the comments. If you give me whatever 20 minutes, I can figure out the link to the book so that you can enjoy that. Yeah, the other thing is next week we're going to be starting on Thursday. There'll be 2023. and we'll be starting the Hermetic Masonry class. So really, if you studied Masonry, then you know that it's related with Kabbalah. So really, it's just understanding Kabbalah better. Let's see what we got for that coming up. We'll just look at initiatic symbolism. That's the purpose of this. To put all the pieces together, there's some chapters in Initiatic Path in the Arcana of Tarot and Kabbalah by Samael and Weor. He talks about combining Arcana together, and it's very useful to study that, to understand that Masonry works with the stone, with the rock. At least that's the symbolism, that we need to work with that rock, with that stone, the philosophical stone. We know what that is. We've been studying that throughout our studies of the tarot. But this is the end of this class. We want to thank you again for your attention and for your time. We hope that it has benefited you, and we invite you to join us for the meditation and for the other classes that we'll be doing going forward. All right. Well, if there aren't any more questions, then we'll say we wish you the best, and look forward to talking to you or meditating with you if you can join us for that.